Bandidos, what's up? So you've been following my channel for a while. Probably got a pretty good handle on what kind of builds I like, I bet. But hold up, because today I have a curveball for you. This legendary team play, heroic, solo, take it wherever the hell you want build, countdown anywhere, has no armor on kill, no armor regen, no bonus armor. It has no repair skills. It has 0 skill tiers, 0 armor cores. But what it does have are smoke bombs, thanks to the new exotic Exodus gloves. And right now, I think it's the best build in the game. Let's find out why.
Wait, did we just become best friends? So nice to meet you. I think you're cool.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
So the way we approach builds is a lot different than just a few months ago. So if you're a new or returning player, or you've been off planet, ever since Year 6 Season 2 launched, you can't just look at a screenshot of a build right now and assume you know what's going on. Although tempting, there's a lot more now that goes behind the scenes, and that's because of the modifier system. Okay, quick break to run you through the build. Start with the new exotic called Exodus gloves. It gives you weapon damage and crit chance and crit damage, and the new talent is called Smoke Screen. That's exactly what it gives. So on armor break, it drops a smoke bomb at your feet, concealing you from enemies for 3 seconds. The cooldown is 40 seconds. The most important thing about the talent Smoke Screen is that the enemies stop targeting you and it considers you out of combat. So you get that out of combat healing, which is almost instant when you're inside your smoke screen. The amount of heals you get isn't consistent, so sometimes you get very little bit and sometimes you get all the way to max. The average seems to be around 60% of your armor back. Either way, it's good enough and seems to be way more useful for me than Unbreakable. The biggest reason being that this talent, which is similar to Unbreakable, is being hosted on your gloves, freeing up your chest piece for an additional defense or preserving a damage talent. We're gonna come back to Smoke Screen and why this is such a good glove, because you're gonna need to know this. I'm not just running it to run it. If I don't like an exotic, I'm not gonna use it. But I actually really like this exotic and I didn't think I would. We'll come back to that. So notice I'm running 4 pieces of striker. Nothing unusual to see here, but there's more to this. I'm running 720,000 in armor and I'm face tanking everything in this legendary. Nothing new about striker, but weapon handling, rate of fire, and then we're getting striker's gamble, which is amplified damage. So we're running the striker's backpack, which is boosting the stacks from 65 to 90%. And then I'm running the chest piece, which is giving us 200 stacks. Crit damage and protection from elites. On the mask, I have crit chance with protection from elites. For the backpack, I have crit chance with protection from elites. And the knees, weapon damage and crit hit damage. I'm at 48% crit chance and 91% crit hit damage. You don't want to push all the way to 60 for this build for a number of reasons. One being that your assault rifle is going to give you another 20% crit hit chance when you get your headshot stacks. And there are these blacklisted targets, NPCs that have a little symbol over their head. It looks like a person icon with a slash through it. Well, when you kill one of those guys, you're going to get 10% crit chance and 10% weapon handling lasting for 10 seconds. So between that and your weapon, you're going to be at your cap, which is 60% most of the time. The holster, I decided to go improvised. You can make this at the crafting bench. I have weapon damage, and crit chance, and then protection from elites. What makes improvised unique is the ability to put on a mod of your choice, where holsters don't usually have a mod slot. So I tried many different configurations. I tried running this with Palisades. I tried running this with Bloodsucker for bonus armor. I ran it with Perfect Clutch for heals by critting. And I found the best utility to bring into the build was protection from elites. You can run Vigilance if you want to for your backpack talent, but since we're running Striker, you might as well just throw on the Striker backpack because we can get our stacks really easy. Might as well make them more powerful, and they can't take this damage away from you, where Vigilance they can take away from you if you take damage, which happens often. Okay, let's go to the weapon. Now you can go with whatever weapon you want to between SMGs and assault rifles, but you're gonna want something with an elevated RPM and a decent base crit on it. And so the Chameleon is considered an assault rifle, but it plays like an SMG. We have assault rifle damage, health damage, which is good against tech and chungas, and then damage to targets out of cover. It's all about adaptive instincts. That makes this gun just like crazy strong. And they recently buffed it last season, so it's got 65 body shots instead of, what was it, 75 before, and that's going to give you 90% weapon damage for 45 seconds. Crazy strong. And you get those headshots, and you're going to get 20% crit chance and 50% crit hit damage for 45 seconds, and then leg shots will give you some reload speed. So for mods, they're pretty good. You're going to get 15% crit chance, and you got stability, accuracy, and then down here you got more rounds. This assault rifle is unique in that it gives you most of the crits you need for your build. For the other weapon, I'm just running the ACS named rock and roll shotgun, which gives me a larger magazine. I don't use it hardly ever. With our base RPMs at 1035, and our RPMs are going to go even higher than that, building stacks is not going to be an issue. So that's the easy part of the build. Now where things get more technical is with the specialization, the skills, and the modifiers. Let's get the specialization out of the way. So I decided to run Firewall because I wanted access to this shield, which is called the Striker Shield. The Striker Shield gives us more damage per enemy standing in front of us. So you want damage bonus for your mods for the shield, and then I have active regeneration. And as you can see, the damage bonus per enemy is at 11%. For any of that other stuff, it doesn't really matter because you're gonna have to follow me here through a couple of steps. But this shield has no skill tiers, you notice? But we are going to have this in overcharge almost the entire time. When your shield is overcharged, it's going to give you the shield wall, which means it's going to be invulnerable. Yes, you're going to have an invulnerable shield that gives you more damage per enemy standing in front of you almost the entire time. It's even going to be invulnerable against explosions. While it's an overcharge, which is basically always, you're going to get 500% active regeneration, 400% shield health, 100% holstered regeneration, and then 2.5% buff strength. So the buff strength is talking about the damage bonus per enemy. So it's going to lift that even higher. So again, more damage per enemy standing in front of you. And for the other skill, I'm running the scanner pulse. What? Crazy, right? So I have radius and skill haste here. And the cooldown by default is pretty short on this thing. So don't add any skill tiers or any skill haste or duration on your build. You're not going to need it. The duration that we have it at is perfect by default. So this is what I want you to notice. We have no skill tiers on our build, but this also is going to be running on overcharge almost always. When you are in overcharge, you're going to have 200% effect duration. So they're going to stay pulsed. That's important because you and your allies' damage is amplified by 15% to pulsed targets. That's another banger for damage. So both of our skills are increasing our DPS and our team's DPS. But that's not all. Okay, let's look at these modifiers. The base modifier, or the global one, is called Rogue. You basically build up momentum, and there's a number of ways to build momentum, from critting to killing things to pulsing targets. So as you fill up your momentum bar, you increase your tiers, and there's 5 total tiers of momentum. The top one is the one that you always want to be at, right? Which is unstoppable, and it's pretty easy to get there and to maintain it. If you're just breaking into your modifiers, you probably haven't realized that yet. It's when you complete your journey do you realize it's a lot easier because you're going to have the resources to do it. So unstoppable is going to give you 20% weapon damage and skill damage, 20% movement speed, 20% reload speed, 25% rate of fire. Overall, you're contributing to better DPS and survivability, and then you get that skill overcharge. So we're going to have an overcharged shield and an overcharged pulse without running any skill tiers. And all we got to do is get to unstoppable stage, which is tier 5, and then maintain it. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use the active modifier called Overdrive. Instantly max out your global modifier to tier 5, which is overcharge. On top of that, for 10 seconds, you're going to get more weapon damage at 30%, more skill damage at 30%, more rate of fire at 30%, and unlimited ammo supply. So this is in addition to all of these perks, but that only lasts for 10 seconds. So after overdrive ends, momentum gains are reduced by 70% for 150 seconds, which is not a problem if you choose the right passive modifiers. So maintaining is pretty easy, especially in heroic and in legendary where there are lots of targets. So the passive modifiers are really important, even more important than the active modifier, I gotta say. So we got critical recovery. So critical hits restores 0.5% of your maximum armor. So we can face tank chungas, we can face tank entire waves without having a drop or lick of armor on our build. No bonus armor, nothing. Our shield will be invulnerable, but our body won't. This helps us restore our health without having any actual repairs. And this is also where the gloves kick in. So if somebody gets behind you and blasts you in the bunghole, the gloves will drop a smoke bomb and restore your health at a considerable amount, if not all the way. You don't even have to think about it. It just happens. It saves your butt. And more importantly, it keeps you in the fight. So stay on target. Okay, the next one is called critical momentum. So critical hits have a 40% chance to grant 1% momentum. So as long as you're shooting, you're maintaining momentum. And finally, the microwave coils. So up to 4 enemies affected by pulse now receive the burn status effect. It's amazing. Think of this kind of like Hunter's Fury, when you kill somebody and then everybody around you and that target all get dizzy. That gives you more opportunity to shoot them while they're not shooting you. Same concept here. So use it timely, like when a spawn just comes out, hit those microwave coils. And it's only on a 17-second cooldown, so it's going to be available more than it's not. So you're going to gain 5% bonus momentum for every affected hostile. So between this and your crits, you really shouldn't have any problem gaining momentum and maintaining it. Remember, blacklisted targets are going to give you bonus momentum when you shoot them. Any target you kill is going to give you momentum also. So there's a standard way of earning momentum, and these are bonus ways of earning momentum. And here's a quick tip. There are 2 ways outside of combat you can do to maintain your momentum or slow down its decay without engaging targets. One of them is simply by sprinting. So when you're in a mission and you're waiting for somebody, sprint back and forth down the hallway until they get off their lazy butt. Pulsing is the other way to preserve your momentum by slowing down your decay. So always use that pulse even when you're just standing around in a hallway. So the best strategy for this build is to activate overdrive upon entering a new checkpoint and then maintain it through that checkpoint and maintain it as long as you can for at least 150 seconds and then activate it at the next prime opportunity, which is either going to be as you enter a checkpoint or as a critical or difficult wave spawns, like a bunch of chungas or something like that. But don't sweat the timing too much. As long as you hit it at the beginning of a checkpoint, the timing tends to work out, even if the next critical wave isn't for a while, because it's easy to maintain your tier 5 global modifier, your overcharge. I gotta tell you, my jaw dropped with this build. I mean, we've done a lot of speed runs for the average Joe. You know, I'm not a sweaty player, you guys know that, but I like to play casual, and I like to show people that, hey, you can get really impressive times without having to do highly coordinated plays. And we've done that in the past and we've gotten some really decent times. And without even trying with some randoms while having the modifiers equipped, you know, we did this in about 13 minutes or so. Unfortunately, I can't show you the summary wrap up because it was all bugged, but it was around 13 minutes, whatever. I'm not trying to break any records. It is impressive. You could group up with a few randoms and we got that kind of time. So I'm impressed. These gloves are really good, but I do think you can create a situation where the gloves won't shine. Will it be helpful? Yeah, but if it's not kicking in a lot, I would probably replace it with something different. So you do have to figure out builds that it makes sense for. And for me, the striker build just made all sorts of sense because there's no added survivability to it. And because I had the gloves, I was able to go all in on damage by even running the Firewall shield. This is just crazy. Let me know what you guys think.
Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Tuxedo Bandido, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the good stuff I have coming for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to check out the video I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you would like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make things possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be the same without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Wait, did we just become best friends?